Howdy, full Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Lions podcast, episode 568. Stumbling over my words. It's been a little while since we've done this. Detroit Lions OTA week 1 wrap up. This is where Jeff Risdon comes in clutch. The Rizzler is here. This is the official Detroit Lions podcast for Reddit. I'm your dashing host, Chris. And with me is my good friend and co-host, Jeff the Riz Risdon. How are you, man? I see a little bit of Allen Park's sun in your face. A little bit of gleam.
I got a little bit of sun yesterday. Yes. I apologize in advance for being shadowed. Where I normally do videos, especially during this time of day, my son has a job over the summer where he has to be at work at 5 a.m. He's sleeping now in the wall that's directly behind where I shoot. So I'm giving him a little bit of credit. And unfortunately, that's like the only place in my house that isn't backlit. So.
Oh man. Okay. Well, we got a lot.
So I'm a little dark, but I got a little bit of sun. I'm feeling good.
Nice.
Got the pollen out of the air. I got the nice Canadian haze smoke scent out of my clothes finally.
I'm still reeking of the pineapple, even though I was off in the Northeast again after my run to Hawaii. But I still feel good. I feel really good. I've got that island soul. So I'm trying to carry that as long as I can, man. I'm trying to carry that as long as I can.
Drink for that.
All right. So we're going to do this a little bit different. We're going to take the warm-ups out. We put those in there before because it was a lot of people would catch up late on the live part and ask questions about things we already talked in the chat. We're just going to rely on the chat to help folks kind of catch up in there. And so the folks that listen to this later that are just audio or watching on YouTube later don't have to worry through and go through all the kind of early kind of talky stuff. So here we are. We're going into it. We're going to talk about the preseason schedule. We're going to talk about the fact that there's no minicamp. We're going to talk about OTA week 1 wrap up. Riz is going to go deep on that. We got some chat about some contract friction, and we got some Dan Campbell presser highlights and a whole lot more. Great show lined up. Riz, are you ready to go, my friend?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's go.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
All right.
Freaking hyped, man.
The energy, my brother.
Fired me up yesterday. It was great to be back watching actual football.
Yeah.
It's been a bit.
Yeah.
Rookie minicamp was a nice little appetizer, but yesterday was, they're still not in pads, but just seeing Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker and Aiden Hutchinson and like Kirby, like just seeing those guys back, like there's been kind of like a negative pall in the fan base over like, oh, we didn't really get better this offseason. We just got healthier and like the schedule's a monster and everybody's like kind of gripping. And seeing all the freaking talent that's on this team, even with some guys sitting out, like, we're good, y'all. Like, we're still really damn good.
Yeah. And
that was one of my big takeaways yesterday as I was driving home, and it took over 4 hours to get home from the Smoothie King in Livonia. Middle Belton, Plymouth to my house is 160 miles, and it took over 4 hours to get home, which just sucks. I stared at the Duluth Trading Company at the Wixom Road exit for a very long time. And I don't ever want to go into that building now because I'm sick of it. Nothing against them. But, so I had a lot of time to process. And one of my thoughts was
wait. We're not to OTAs yet. We're not even to OTAs yet.
We're a good football team, Chris. We're a good football team, y'all. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
We're good.
We got a lot to talk about. So I don't want to pull back the reins on you, but let's get to it. Let's talk about the preseason schedule. Preseason schedule was dropped for us. And as we all know by now, the Lions have an extra preseason game, the 4th game. And that actually changes some things up, and we'll talk about that as we go on today. But we've got a July 31st game.
Just whack my cat.
Lions in July. Lions in July, my man. That's pretty wild. And then we got Atlanta. Yeah. We're at Atlanta. The Chargers game in Hall of Fame game is obviously in Canton. Then we on the 16th in Miami, and then the 23rd in Houston. We got Miami and Houston at home. Are you going to bring the family to the Houston game just for a little?
My son is actually moving back to college that day, so they will not be there for that.
Don't leave till 4:30, son.
I know, right?
I wouldn't leave.
It is an early game.
Belongings down there. Yeah. Oh man. So that's it. The team has 4 preseason games, which on one hand is a little bit of a bump and a help. On the other hand, it changes some things up for you. The Chargers is an interesting team to play. You get a little bit of Harbaugh Maniac. What do you think, man? What do you think of the
I love
a game
having
in July too?
It's early, and that throws like the entire summer schedule off. Training camp is going to start that much earlier, which for me personally sucks. But like I get it.
Yeah.
It's we're normally that week is a week where things happen in my kids' lives, and I won't be able to do those things this year, which sucks. But and like it is a burden for the Lions as well. They've had to alter their schedule. But in terms of like, we're going to get to see that much more of Giovanni Manu and Dan Jackson and Tate Ratledge playing center to spoil ahead, and Craig Reynolds running, and the wide receivers. You're going to see a crap ton of Isaac Tisslaw. You're going to see a lot of guys who don't play a lot, who are battling for not just roster spots, but very precious practice squad spots. And that's like the entire Dan's yesterday before practice didn't rule out playing starters. He's not averse to it, but he sees the preseason as the time when the players who aren't going to play a lot get a chance to play and develop, and they get to see what they've got, see if they can handle the game situations instead of just practices.
Yep.
And that makes me excited because the bottom of this roster, the spot, we got 4 guys competing for one safety spot. We got 3 or 4 guys competing for one reserve tackle spot. Like it's fierce this year, y'all.
Yeah.
Backup tight end role. After Brock Wright, the number 3 tight end, that position's wide freaking open, and you better believe that those guys are going to get a lot of run in those situations, and we'll get to see a lot of Hendon Hooker, and we need to see a lot of Hendon Hooker because we need to see more of him, so the Lions know what they've got, and so we can feel better or not about the backup quarterback situation too.
Yeah, I feel like I don't think the Lions, of course, want to see more, want to know everything. I mean, I think they got a good handle on him, and they feel like they've got a good handle on Hooker and what he is. We don't get to see him as much, and that's the thing where he's a big question mark. But they see him, they work with him every single day. They know what they've got. They know if he's the kind of kid that's going to develop. They know if he's your Dan Orlovsky type, who's more of a coach quarterback, right? I mean, they kind of, I think, know what they have there.
Yeah, that's fair.
And if they're confident, I'm confident. I have gotten to a weird point with the team where I would always second guess the coaches in the front office, but now just watching how these guys work and what they've done and how quickly they've done it, and the consistency that they built into it, I'm just gonna watch them work and trust it. I mean, they've not given me a reason not to trust the plan on this one, so I will believe in Hooker until they tell me not to, or until I see him really go off the rails. So
yeah, yesterday was not the most reassuring, but at the same time, Kyle Allen also wasn't great either. So the entire second team and third team offense, like again, to skip ahead, our defensive depth is so far ahead of our offensive. Like it's not even close. Like the defensive depth on this team is so much better than the offensive depth.
I'm going to have to put
at the
a bit in
line
your mouth
specifically, but other spots too.
I want to put a bit in your mouth. You're trying to run again.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm excited, Chris.
But we got to talk about Miami and Houston being here for joint training camps.
Yay.
So will your son go see one of those potentially?
He will. So they're going to do 2 with Miami and 1 or 2 with Houston. Dan said 1 yesterday, but the people that I've been talking to in Houston are planning on coming up for the entire week. So maybe there's more than that. I don't know. I was told by somebody who works for the Texans 2 weeks ago that it was in the works. They actually wanted to know like hotel recommendations near Allen Park. So like this wasn't a surprise. I hinted at it in the last video that I did. But it's going to be a lot of fun. D'Amico Ryans is, if you like Dan Campbell, you're probably going to like D'Amico Ryans because he's got the same sort of passionate mentality. The players love him and swear by him. He's got their backs. They've got his back. That's a really good football team. I don't think that because they keep fizzling in the playoffs, like I don't think they get a lot of run for it, but that's a very good football team there. Yeah. And they do a lot of things that the Lions don't see otherwise. And I like that aspect of it too. Specifically with their defense, they bring 6 a lot. They bring overload blitzes a lot. It's a great preparation for playing against Minnesota. It's great preparation for playing against what we think Green Bay's defense might look like this year with a little bit more adaptation. So there's a lot of pertinence to having them in. And then Miami 2 days with them, you get to face Tua. You get speed on the outside. Tyreek Hill, like nobody's faster than him. No. J-Mo might be as fast, but nobody's faster than him. And they run a very schematically different offense as well. So it exposes them to things that they wouldn't normally see, that they can't really replicate in practice. And I love that. And I think Dan Campbell loves that too. That's one of the reasons why he's been a big proponent of having joint practices, and why the Lions have quietly fought to have the limit, which is you're only allowed 4 days. Every team's only allowed 4 days of joint practices. The Lions have very quietly lobbied for years to have that bumped up to 6. Yeah. And they're not the only team that's doing that, and they're playing against 2 other teams that want to do that too. So hopefully that will change sometime soon.
Yeah, I tell you, so it's good. It's going to be interesting because I love the idea that they have Tyreek and we have J-Mo, because both teams are practicing against their own speedster. Now they get to see somebody who's a little bit different, right? And that's and that little difference makes all the difference when you're trying to cover somebody, right? When you get too used to one guy's style and his moves, you can very easily get juked by somebody who has a little bit different style, even though they're both just speedsters, right? Because there's more to that than running a route. So I think this is really good for our cornerbacks, a really, really good, fun way to test them and get them, their heads on straight for these when they're covering these fast guys and not getting too self-confident, overconfident about being able to cover. You know what I mean? So put some questions in. Yes, cocksure. Yes. Also, thank you, Peaceful Tim. Yes, folks, please press the like button and the subscribe button. Appreciate it. Helps other people find the show. Remember, we only ask once per show. So now
my camera's mirrored. That's weird. I hate that. I got to figure out how to not do that.
All right. So
the left hand's over here.
Preseason schedule hits 2 joint practices. We've got an extra preseason game. It's a lot going on ahead of the season. A lot going on before it all starts. But that results in the Lions canceled mandatory minicamp. So there's a couple things. I think the first one I'm going to say is they're just holding on to their summer vacation, aren't they, Riz? Like they lost it because the Hall of Fame game, so they kill mandatory camp so they get the same length that everyone gets to do their vacations.
It's a 3-day weekend that they have free now. It was going to be Father's Day weekend, or no, the weekend before Father's Day, like the 10th through the 12th, I think it is. It's June right now. No, tomorrow's June.
Yes.
It would have been not next weekend, but the weekend after that. So like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So whenever that is, like it's free, which is nice for me because I was going to have to miss the last day to do some traveling, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
More training camp is good. I do think, though, unfortunately, one of the aspects is that the first couple of days of minicamp now are going to be like yesterday, where it's not padded. It's basically like a full speed walkthrough. At least one of the days will be, which is even less than what we saw yesterday. So it's kind of frustrating, but
yeah,
we got to do what we got to do.
We'll talk about this part of it later, but I think there's a little bit, I don't think this is why they did it, but it just becomes a side benefit. You don't have to talk about or handle questions about contracts and no-shows if you don't have a mandatory minicamp too. And like I said, we'll allude to that a little bit in ahead. But very interesting. Very, very interesting in that regard. It takes some of that away. So Yes. All right. Now, Riz.
Yes.
Barn doors open. OTA week 1 wrap up. Pour your heart out, brother. Pour your heart. You were there. Let us know.
I was there. So it was fun. I'm still recovering from the smoke and the pollen.
Let me just start with one person, a young man named J-Mo. A lot of people in the chat. J-Mo's looking strong. He's way more numbers than most wide receivers this young. How's J-Mo looking out there this year?
He's thicker, lower body. I put it in our Slack. He's got more behind, more junk in the trunk, and more leg definition.
I like that.
He's always had like really skinny legs.
Yep.
He's got a little bit more meat to him, and it's good. Dan talked about it beforehand. Like he can he can put his foot in the ground and plant and explode out of it better than he used to. And that was evidenced yesterday. Amon-Ra didn't practice, so J-Mo was your default number one wide receiver. Tasla didn't practice either, so J-Mo got a ton of looks. He looks good. Looks very good. It's very easy to be very excited about J-Mo. So last year he had 59 catches for 1,001 yards. They're going up. Those numbers are going up. It's almost impossible for them not to. Like, he's healthy. He's the right kind of like aloof, and I don't mean that at all.
Yeah, no,
in a
I get what you're
derogatory
saying.
manner.
Yeah,
like he's a free spirit that the team embraces.
Yeah.
It's not like he's like, doing like come on, J-Mo. Like, it's not like that. It's just like he's playful. He's got a youthful innocence to him that I think it plays very well in the locker room, and it's playing better with the media all the time. One of the things that I've noticed in my media peers is we're a lot more eager to talk to him and talk to him about football now, and let him dictate if he wants to get off script a little bit, and he does, and it's great. He's a great talker. He's matured into something that I think most of us hoped that he would become. And if it comes on the field the way that we've seen it on the practice field and the way that his teammates and coaches talk about him, man.
I'll say the youthful innocence piece, I think, is probably one of the most apt descriptions that I've seen of him. People said immature, whatever, but because, look, you're a parent too, even when they're young and they're innocent, it doesn't mean they don't piss you off. It doesn't mean they don't fuck things up. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But how he has matured but maintained that personality, I think, is exactly what the Lions wanted, right? And I think that's what everybody was hoping for, and it appears like we got the best version of that, because you're right, it's such a contagious type of personality, so fun to be around, magnetic, right? The kind of thing you just love. And to be able to couple that kind of just, again, that magnetism with the good decisions, it's fantastic to see. So I love to see that growth. I've had hope for this kid for a long time, and because it can go two ways. It really can with a guy like that. And it looks like, again, we have a team and leadership in this organization that helped him and believed in him rather than push him away. They pulled him in and helped him make a lot of the right choices. And he's you can tell. I mean, he's the kind of guy that, he's working now. And when he got here, he didn't think he had to, because he wasn't really used to it. He was just naturally gifted. And just love it. Just love to see that kind of maturation.
Yeah. Just one other quick thing, like his football maturity. Yesterday, he had a rep where he was isolated against Dan Jackson. That's not a good matchup for Dan Jackson. It's not a good matchup for anybody, but especially a safety who's better going forward. And one of the things afterwards, and I wrote this in my notes, J-Mo was like, he came up to Jackson and told him, like, hey, get down. You're too high. Like, J-Mo's explaining why he beat a guy. Like, that's very out of character for J-Mo in terms of where he's been. And it shows that he's got enough confidence in himself and enough, team first attitude. Like, he's trying to help this kid. And Jackson's all right. He needs some help, but like he's certainly the front runner for that number 4 safety spot. And like J-Mo, he's doing it for the team. And I still think there's a lot of perception that J-Mo is this selfish guy, and I don't get that. And I think this is a good example of that, and that he's, he could have gloated that he toasted him. He could have, made light of it, but he actually chose to try to help him.
That's in camp. That's when the gloating starts, is in camp, when they start going daily against each other. Then you start getting a little bit. But this is a great time for that. Yeah, and you love to see it, because that also, that there's a confidence that shows, as well as a mastery of one's craft, right? When you can start teaching people, you have a conscious competence at that point. You know what I mean? And when you have a conscious competence, then you can use that to help others. And I would say he was unconsciously competent before. He just knew he was good, right? And he just did well out there. So it's again part of the maturation. It's good to see. All right, what else do we have besides JMO, brother? What else? I mean, there's more. There's a couple other players out there.
Oh yeah. So I'll just start with like the best player on the field yesterday was Grant Stewart, and people are like, who? He's number 15, y'all. He was alternating reps with the first team and the second team at linebacker. Alex Anzalone is not here. Derek Barnes is out. Rodrigo is out. So Stewart got the most reps with Jack Campbell. Wasn't exclusively him, but dude was good, man. So he has a reputation coming out of the Colts as a special teamer. Plays with he's got a lot of hair, plays with it on fire all the time. He played good football yesterday in terms of understanding his run fills, timing his burst, avoiding blocks, getting to the point of attack, dropping in coverage, which is not something that the Colts ever asked him to do. Like, he looked very, very ready and capable of being a lot more than Jalen Reeves-Maben, who's basically the guy that he's taken over for on the roster.
Right.
And that was encouraging. And I have talked to a couple of Colts guys, with Jake Arthur, who does Locked On Colts. And he's like, we've been begging the Colts to like play this guy more. Like he's got ability and they never saw it. They just didn't, he wasn't well coached there. And Kelvin Shepard yesterday, I'm literally not allowed to give direct quotes from coaches in practice. That's on our media credentialing agreement. But let's just say Kelvin Shepard made it very clear that he was extremely happy with Grant Stewart's play on a couple of specific occasions. And one of them was an A-gap blitz where it was like, oh crap. Like both linemen like, like Goff would have been buried on that play. And that was the starters too. He's fun, man. He's going to be somebody when the fans are in the stands for training camp. Y'all are going to love this guy.
That's great.
Hassanin too. Hassanin, oh my God, just infectious energy. Like, and he's got some of the, the baby giraffe, puppy dog, not knowing all what he's doing, but damn, he does everything at full speed with full enthusiasm. And to give you an idea of how the team is, he's a celebrator. And a lot of times when you celebrate a win, somebody on the other side of the ball, like the guy you beat, is going to get upset and get pissed and take it out on you. Doesn't happen with him. Not yet, anyways. I can see that coming, especially if he beats Dan Skipper, because Skip ain't going to take that shit.
Right.
But for now, it's endearing. And, like, the teammates are proud of him and happy. And the other thing that I love about him is when he got beat on reps, and he did get beat on some reps, he went over and was talking with his coaches like, what did I do? What did I miss on that play? Why did I lose? And I love that. I love the fact that he's trying to be that sponge and get better all the time.
Yeah.
He's going to be very hit and miss as a rookie. He's going to have plays where he's like, oh crap, like this guy went in the 6th round. Like, how was he not a first rounder? And then there's also going to be some like, has he ever seen football before? Like there's going to be a mix of that. But the football character and the spirit, my God, it's fun to watch.
That's awesome.
So he's a fun one.
That is awesome to hear. Love that. The question we're getting is, has Broderick Martin shown a pulse? What have we seen from him out there?
I didn't see him yesterday. I'm not sure if he practiced. I don't think he did. He's physically there, but I didn't really notice him. He's not in my notes. So I wouldn't count on that. I will say Roy Lopez looked capable as your starting nose tackle. He's quicker than you think he is for a big guy. Again, they're not in pads, so especially interior line play is difficult to evaluate because it's much more quickness based, and he's not quickness based. Like, he's an anchor. So it from that standpoint, it's tough, but he clearly knows where he needs to be. and is picking up the defense pretty well. So I'm happy with that. The other guy I want to talk about Marcus Davenport.
Okay.
I had a conversation yesterday. I was standing with John Macaron from SI, Detroit podcast, and we're just like, look at Davenport. Like, he's wearing baggy sweats and still looks like hulking. And we're just looking, we're like, this is why the Lions love this guy. And he was great. Like, he was beating Panay around the corner, like legit beating him. He's listed at 6'6", 285, and I believe both of those. Like, he's huge, but he's quick. He's twitchy. He's got moves. He made a leaping interception on a play where the edges are dropping. And like, even the coach who threw it, and I forget who it was, like it slipped out of his hand and went high. And like Davenport like skied up and high pointed the ball and caught it, came down and took off. And the coach was like, damn. Like it. I understand that fans are, and I am too, like, fuck, dude can't stay healthy. But damn, man, if you see him when he's healthy, and like, you get why the Lions love him and why they're not interested in bringing anybody else. And they are not interested in bringing anyone in now. Dan talked about it yesterday. I wrote about it at Lions Wire, and I had that reinforced after practice in the conversation that I had as I was walking off the field with someone. Like, they're not looking. They're just not. That was made very, very clear to me. I know there's a lot of people that think Zadarius Smith is coming back, and I will say I was one of those people that thought that was going to happen. That is not nearly as imminent as I thought it would be, and I have been told that I was wrong on that. So something to keep in mind. So they have a lot of eggs in the Marcus Davenport basket, which does scare me. But again, Hassanin's there. Isaac Ukwu had some decent reps yesterday. The cupboard's not bare, and that was one of the things.
And it's real depth too. Unlike 5 seasons ago when one guy's hurt and the whole thing falls apart, right? I mean, there's real depth here, and as this team has shown, depth. You play well, you practice well, you'll play, and that I think that's one of the keys to making your depth grow and developing your depth. Because if people don't really believe they're going to play unless somebody gets hurt, they're not trying as hard as if they believe they could steal a spot and do it on merit. And that's the thing, that carrot is always there, and there's something to strive for. And when you get competitors, and when you recruit and draft and bring competitors in, those are the kind of people that are going to give you their best because they want that job. They're going to fight for it, and they're going to give you that little extra. They're going to do it on the field. They're going to do it in practice, and that's how you get to be, that's where they talk about games of inches and minor details. That's how you get to be the team that comes out on top. So
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And that's something you look around at the teams that are consistently good. Baltimore's like that. Pittsburgh's like that. Like, it's very, the Chiefs are like that. The Eagles are like that. It's very egalitarian. Like, if you prove that you're better, like, they don't care. Like, I'll throw out these. If Miles Frazier is blowing away Coyote Alshika for the backup guard spot, like, that, bye Coyote, see ya. Like, your veteran status means nothing.
Yeah, no, it's
like, if Dominic Lovett is blowing away Leaf, that's not going to happen because Leaf's going to be the punt returner. But like, at wide receiver, like, Leaf won't play. Like, they will play Lovett over him. Like, that's not a question. I don't expect that to happen, but it's open. And that, like you said, that carrot is there, and the players know it, and the coaches, like, they're going to yank that carrot. Like, if you get the carrot, you get to eat it.
Okay, before I break into a rendition of something I shouldn't, let me ask you about our new starting center. How's everything going at the middle of the offensive line?
Tate Ratledge, our second-round pick, first-team center with Frank Ragnow not there.
We'll talk about that.
I told you I told you before we got on, and I told the Slack. And I have to say it this way because it's the best way to describe it. He's too erect in the middle.
Let's go back to the carrot.
In that he's tall, long, and stiff out of his stance. And that's not things you want to be in the center. It's certainly what you want to be in other situations in life, but not playing center.
Yes.
Beyond that, he looks fine. Again, they're not in pads, so it's tough to, like, his snapping is great. No problem under center, no problem shotgun. Like, I don't think there was an errant snap all day. He's clearly ahead of Kingsley Agukun and Michael Neese, who got token reps at center. And Glasgow, I would say that Glasgow at center is probably not going to happen again. So yesterday.
Go ahead.
Yesterday.
Depends.
Ratledge was a first-team center. Mahogany was the first-team left guard, and Glasgow was the first-team right guard, although Alshika got some run there as well. And Natani Mute got one series as a starting left guard. And that's your competition, basically. Miles Frazier he didn't practice, so he wasn't out there. I didn't see Glasgow at center. That doesn't mean that he wasn't there. My focus for a good part of the second team portion was looking at the back end of the defense. Sure. I was standing behind the defense, so I couldn't see the line that clearly. He might have been there, but I didn't notice it. But Ratledge was certainly they're clearly grooming him to be a capable center, whether that's right away or 2026, 2027 backup swing role as who knows. Mm-hmm. We're going to figure all that out, but he's taking to it. But he's got to be a little bit less erect on the inside. That's again not normally something that you normally take medication to get more erect, and he needs the anti-boner pill on the inside. I guess
I got the same problem, man. Same problem. All right. I can relate. We'll talk about whether we see Glasgow at center or not in a few here, because there's a scenario where we could see him this year, and
we could. Yes, we could.
Not the ideal scenario.
I will say, Mahogany was so much better than Glasgow, last year, and even yesterday. He just moves so much cleaner.
Yep.
This is me talking. This is not anything from the team, but it wouldn't surprise me if Glasgow doesn't make the team on merit. Now, if his salary dictates that he has to make it, or they want to go with the experienced, versatile backup, I get that. But we were just talking about the carrots. Somebody's going to eat that. Somebody's going to eat his carrot if he doesn't pick it up quickly. Is my take on it.
And that's not a euphemism. All right. Let's go.
No.
Who else? Tell us who else stood out in OTAs, Riz, or what's some of your bigger takeaways here?
So Zach Cunningham, they signed him.
Yep.
He probably needs to keep his mouth shut a little bit. He was corrected by a coach, and he clapped back. I don't think that was very well received.
Oh yeah. Oopsies.
And to be fair to Zach, and I know this because I covered him in Houston, and he's not who he was in Houston when he led the NFL in tackles. He's not that guy. And just my quick take on him from covering him, he's a great open field tackler. He is complete empty calories as a linebacker. He doesn't blitz well. He doesn't cover well. He doesn't force turnovers. He just runs to the side and makes tackles on the running back 3 yards down the field exceptionally well. That's how he's lasted in the league this long. He's not, I'll say this, the guy who was in Philly, the guy who was in Denver last year is not making this team. He's not. But he's got a chance to redeem himself, and it's a crowded field, man. Even with Rodrigo and Derek Barnes not out there. Against Stewart stepped up a lot. I think Trevor Nowaski had a pretty good day overall. Probably don't want him turning and dropping in coverage very much, but as far as pass rushing and run fills, he did great yesterday. So they've got some guys at linebacker, so it's going to be tough for him to make it. I don't know. But on the play where he got corrected, like what he did in Houston was what he did there, and it was correct that was Romeo Crennel's defense. Like back then, like he did the right thing for that, but that's not what this defense is.
Yeah, go call Matt Patricia.
He's got to learn that a little bit. Yeah, for real. So, but it's an interesting addition, specifically with 34 not being there. And that was the talk of some media speculation yesterday. But again, it's just speculation. Nobody really knows.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who else made the notes?
There's a question about Gio Metro, Giovanni Manu. What did you see from him?
So he was the second team left tackle. He's still huge. He's still working, very much a work in progress. When he did go up against Davenport, it wasn't pretty. Isaac Ukwu got him. Trevor Nowaski got him on an inside stutter step move. So he's got a lot of work to do. But again, they're not in pads, and he is a catch blocker. And when you're a catch blocker and you're not in pads, it's really not good for you because you're wanting the guy to run into you and you absorb him. Like that's his style. I think they're trying to get that out of him some, but because Taylor Decker is a much more aggressive guy, he's going to fire off even in pass protection with a hand. Even as he's dropping back, his hands are very active, and you can see Gio working on it, but he's not. Again, it's not in pads. He doesn't look ready for prime time yet. We're going to see a lot. Again, it wouldn't shock me if he played every single snap of every preseason game because they're trying to get him reps big time. He needs them. I'm still not comfortable with him as the number 3 tackle. I don't know if the team is or not.
Let me ask you, there's a question about the wrecker, Derek Barnes. Will he be more of a pass rusher this year?
Yes, definitely. And again, he's not practicing yet. It sounds like he's good to go. They just had him sitting out yesterday, this week actually, but the role that he played his junior year, or his second to last year at Purdue, was basically how the Cowboys use Micah Parsons. That is the role that he is going to be doing more of this year, rather than the more passive off-ball role that he played his last year at Purdue, and did very well at the Senior Bowl and has primarily played that role in Detroit. You saw a little bit more of him being as a proactive Sam last year before he got hurt. I will again point out that the Lions had the number 1 defense in football when he went down, and they fell to 7th at the end of the year. They went from 1st to 5th almost overnight when he got injured.
Yeah.
Now that also coincided with Davenport and Hutch both going out as well, so you don't want to put too much into that, but he's going to be a weapon. And again, I've said this, if you've watched the solo videos, first off, thank you. Appreciate them. But as the defense is now coached by a linebacker in Kelvin Shepard who sees things through linebacker eyes, you better believe that there's going to be more of an emphasis on linebackers being the playmakers rather than your safeties being playmakers. And that's not to take away from what Branch or Kirby do.
I was going to say safeties playing as linebackers is going to be a thing you see too.
I think you're going to see a lot more of 3 linebackers and even 4 linebackers at times on the field than we have seen from the Lions in some time. And some of that is because they have the depth to do it, and some of it is because Barnes and or Nowaski are going to be rushing the passer primarily as their job function as a linebacker. We saw a lot of 5-man saw a lot of 5-man fronts yesterday, which is basically a 3-4, but both outside linebackers are pass rushers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. I would expect to see a lot of that going forward.
That's that hybrid 3-4-4-3 kind of thing. That's where once you said that, I was like, and then I started processing. Yeah, that's it. Okay, that's where we're going. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but
which isn't a
they're
huge
comfortable.
change, right? I mean, but it's just an
No, it's
evolution
not.
forward from where they were.
Right. And some of it is the fact that Jack Campbell is very, very comfortable patrolling the middle, running the defense. He talked yesterday after, by the way, the juxtaposition of going from JMO at the mic to Jack Campbell at the mic could not be more different. It was like whiplash. Jack's getting better at talking, but he still doesn't like to do it. Like, it's very clear he'd rather be anywhere else but in front of the microphone. And like JMO's up there and he's vibrant, he's playful. You know, he's got the floopy hair, he's got tattoos, like he's like, you know, making fun of the guy holding his helmet. And Jack Campbell's like, please ask me this question now, like, so I can get out of here. It was something that we joked about in the media room afterwards. And it's just who they are, you know, that's their personalities. It's not anything good or bad about either one. It's just who they are. But Jack looks good. Jack looks fluid. Jack looked very good in the coverage drills.
Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. We got another question. This is a lot of questions coming out, and this is good. I think this is a good way to kind of cover this. Have you seen anything out of the new coaching staff that would have us excited or optimistic for this season coming up? A lot of people have anxiety about the staff. What have you seen that kind of what have you seen both positive and negative?
So it's different, and Goff actually addressed this fairly eruditely in his post-conference presser. Easy for me to say. I can say eruditely, but I can't say post-conference.
You can't say it eruditely.
Yes, I can't either. Good Lord. Anyhow, this is why I need beer when I do these things.
I'm hurting. Yeah, the sobriety is really just kicking me in the tail.
Hey, but we're losing weight, and that's a good thing.
It's good for us. Yeah,
it is good for us. But I digress. He talked about how John Morton is adding things that he thinks that the offense can do better. That, you know, and Goff didn't say it, and Dan hasn't said it either, but the players have sort of hinted at it that Ben saw things the way Ben wanted to see them. And having different eyes can open up some things that Ben might not have seen. And that's not being critical of Ben. That's because he's a great offensive mind. But like, and I'm trying to find, like, it's just different. And Morton and David Shaw deserve some mention here in this as well. They've seen different things. They see the defense differently, and how what they will do is impact. Because I do think, you know, we've talked a lot on this show, you and I and everybody else, about how it's Dan's base offense, but Ben certainly had a lot of influence. And I think one of the big things that Ben was good at was dictating what the defense can do on a specific play with his formations, with his personnel groupings and motion and things like that. I think that's going to be a little bit different. And I don't know if that's going to be better or worse. I do think it makes them a little bit less predictable because it's going to be different.
There's no tape on it, right? I think one of the things I think though, and this will play itself out this year, we'll see, but Ben was not as beloved by his colleagues last year. He was known to be a dick last year. And it was, he had changed, and maybe it was hunger, maybe it was something else. But when you step into a head coaching role, I don't know that that's going to be demagnified. I think that's probably a zoom in kind of thing. It's going to be interesting to see how, in the bright light with the big responsibility and the big chair, how he handles that and what happens over. That's look, Ben was great here. He had a great vibe. I felt like last year he was stiff though. Like, people had problems with what he called play wise, but he just felt stiff in his play calling, and it didn't flow like it did the year before. And sometimes a change is good. I think Morton can bring a real something really nice to the mix here. But don't forget, it's not just him alone. It's not all on him, right? I mean, Dan Campbell's a big part of that. He's a big part of that conversation.
Yeah.
So is Hank. These guys are all there, and it's a group. You know,
Scotty Montgomery has he
Yeah.
definitely has a thumbprint
big
on it
part.
as well.
Yep, Scotty's a big part of that. Yep.
And
It's easy
he's
to forget about that too, because he's
is.
not as big a name, if you will, but he should. I think he will be this year. I think he will be this year because he's got a real big role in this offense.
And I will say this: if JMO takes off the way we talked about earlier, he's going to get the credit for it because he's the new wide receivers coach. And I loved Antoine Randall L. I think he's a fantastic offensive coach, and I think he's going to do very well where he's at now. Unfortunately,
yep.
But I think the Lions did a really good job of. And this is something we talked about this. I talked about this on the Huge Show when I was on the other day. The Lions did a fantastic job of damage control in terms of losing both coordinators and some assistant coaches. They did a great job of finding guys that will fill those shoes very well.
Yeah.
And look, I don't think there's anybody who thinks that Kelvin Shepherd didn't deserve the job.
No.
And
so it's funny. I would have liked to see Kelvin take that job a year later. I think one more year of development would have been probably more ideal, but I don't think he's not ready, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I appreciate a little bit slower motion for folks to really kind of lock in and like this would have been a great year for him to kind of do a practice run in that role. If you know what I mean, take on those extra responsibilities and do that. I would have liked that, but it's not that he's not ready. He's got the brain for it and he's got the mindset for it. And it reminds me, talking about Kelvin, what you talked about JMO earlier, what we were talking about with him and his growth and maturity and the curve that he's gone on and his personality, where a lot of teams would have not done well handling that. I think it goes back to the very, very, very beginning of Campbell's tenure here, where Shepherd said he's got to cut his hair. And he's like, why? No, be you. Yeah. Right. And that's the exact same approach that they're using with JMO. Be you, but be the smart version of you. You know what I mean? And I think that's really important. I think that's really important. And it's one of the things that allows you can't go to work and be somebody you're not. You won't be successful. You'll burn out. You just can't do that, right? And this is part of it's part of one of the strengths of the team. So, Kelvin's a great guy. This is gonna be a year of growth for him, right? He's gonna be drinking from a fire hose for sure. But it's not like he's not a great choice.
And I think Casey Rogers is going to help him a lot too. The new defensive line coach, who has been a coordinator in his day. He's definitely a Dan Campbell type. Like he's cut from the cloth.
Yeah.
The grit is there. And I think he's got some influence on Kelvin as well. It's you can expect some rough patches. And again, this is where I think having that fourth preseason game is good. And this is something that Dan talked about in terms of John Morton calling plays. Like, he gets an extra game to get used to calling plays again. He hasn't called plays since the 2017 Jets, where he was the OC of what, if you look at their roster, was an expansion offense. I went through it. I did a piece with Prime Sports, the Our-Lads Network, and we talked about, and the guy who does it, Greg, is a Jets guy. And he's like, we don't remember him very fondly. I'm like, go look at your roster that you had. And he went through and like, Josh McCown was their quarterback. The number one wide receiver was Robbie Anderson. He couldn't identify who the second wide receiver was by looking at their stats. Like, that's how awful that offense was. Like, their line, 4 of those linemen that were starting on that team were out of the NFL within 2 years. Like, don't judge John Morton on that 2017 Jets team. Like, that's patently unfair to John Morton.
Yeah.
And by the way, everybody got fired after that year. Or a year later, it was a rough team. It was a poorly coached team, and he was unfortunately part of that. I think he'll be better. He had he got in the way of Sam Laporta yesterday on a route, and Laporta, by the way, looks fantastic. Love the mustache, but also just he's straight out of 1978, man. But he looks really lithe. And looks a little bit bigger in his upper body too. which is an interesting combination, but he's put it together very well. Morton got in the way. Laporta went down, and Laporta has a towel in his pants. He pulls the towel and throws it like a flag. I thought Mark Brunell was going to cry. He was laughing so hard. But to show you how Morton fits in, like, he laughed it off. Like, he was good. Like, that could be a situation where, like, don't show me up like that. Not like that at all.
Yeah.
I do think that we tend to forget, and I'm guilty of this too, so I'm raising my hand. John Morton was here in 2022. Like, he knows everybody. He knows the offense. He was part of Ben's creation of that offense.
Yep.
I think that gets lost a little bit.
Yeah.
So
People focus back on this time with the Jets when the Jets were, I mean, they were a Pop Warner team at that point, right? I mean, there was nothing going for them.
Go look at that 2017 Jets. That was literally an expansion team. Like, UFL, here we come.
Yeah.
By the way, go Panthers. I think their season's over, but
God, Laporta's mustache. You talk about the throwback to the 70s. We were watching some Cheech and Chong throwback cuts from those movies on YouTube last night. My wife and I laughing our asses off. That's so fun. All right. Anyway, let's go. Let's
never got stoner humor.
Oh, Cheech and Chong were fantastic in the day, man. They're so funny. How's my driving?
I do remember.
I think you're
parked, man.
like
middle school. Cheech and Chong, the Corsican brothers, was eminently quotable. Was on where I used to watch TV a lot after school.
Oh, Ryan, that's good. Laporta looks like a cop looking to crack down on crime in the big city, but he's forced in parking duty and still has a good attitude about it.
Yes, he does.
All right,
he does have the Paul Blart Mall Cop mustache.
Let me give me a wrap. Give me your just kind of overview wrap on OTAs and where we're going from here. We got one more session to come, right?
We do. That is next week. I will be there for that as well. And then we don't see them until training camp. We don't see anybody until training camp, which hasn't officially been announced yet. And the rough dates that I was given earlier, I was told to not listen to those. So
don't hold those too tight. Don't hold those too tightly.
So we're figuring it all out. We're getting there.
All right.
I'll just say again, and I talked about it at the beginning, this is a really, really talented football team on both sides of the ball. Even with Terrion didn't practice yesterday. Ragnow's not there. David Montgomery didn't practice. Amon-Ra didn't practice. They still look damn good, man.
I'm good, like I talked about that
team.
That island chill.
Don't forget, they're good.
I talked about that island chill before. I mean, I am not at all worried. I mean, there's all kinds of things going on. We'll talk about some stuff where, I mean, a lot of people are nervous. There's just a vibe this year. I'm nonplussed. I'm just going to watch this team win it all. I know I am. I'm just going to watch this team win it all.
The concept of unfinished business is much greater this year than it was last year at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like they know that last year was their year and they didn't get it done. And that is, Dan talks about it a little bit before practice yesterday, and you can feel it in the players. Last year got away from them. And it was like, they know that they were the best team in football last year, and it didn't happen. I think that they understand the magnitude and the preciousness of the opportunity that they have right now. And I think that's going to lead to a more focused team. Again, they went 15-2 last year. It's hard to be better than that, but the goal isn't to be 15-2. The goal is to win the Super Bowl. Yeah. And you can do that from being 10-7, and they might have to do that this year with the schedule the way it is. And I think they're going to be better than that, but
good teams win in good schedules. That's just the way it works.
That's right.
We got the schedule we deserve. We got the schedule we deserve. So
we do. One other quick thing. Dan Campbell was with the defense a lot more yesterday than he normally is. And I don't know whether he was looking for something specific or what, but most of the time, so they have the two practice fields, and the defense works on one field and the offense works on the other field. And most of the time, Dan is standing between them, but he's looking at the offense. And yesterday, he was turned the other way. and looking at the defense more and interacting a little bit more with the positional coaches. And that could just be, a one-day thing. It could be that he was, just looking for defense. Like, I wouldn't read too much into it, but again, I think sometimes we forget, that Dan is coaching the entire football team. And we talk about Ben Johnson. Like, I don't know if Ben Johnson knew all the defensive players' names last year. To be fair, there were a lot of them, a lot of new guys that came in. But Ben's going to have some work to do on learning the defense and coaching the defense, and even just being the coach of the defensive coaches. It's different, and I worry about that for Ben. I don't worry about that as a Lions fan with Chicago, but I like Ben. I like Ben Johnson. I want him to do well. Wish it wasn't in Chicago. I don't.
Yeah.
I'll just say, I think that Aaron Glenn is going to be a much more successful coach early, given the same talent level than what Ben Johnson is.
I'd like to see,
because AG was very in tune with the Lions' offense and offensive players and offensive coaches, and I'm not sure that Ben offers that to Chicago yet.
I like
Which
to
is
see
good, because
Ben Johnson struggling to get the run game coordinator title from while he's working for Hank Fraley. That's what I'd like to see.
I will say, and this has been something, one of the things that I do is I talk to my fellow wire editors and beat writers who cover the other teams. Most people see the Bears as the biggest threat to the Lions, both in Detroit and around the NFC North. And that includes Green Bay people, who are both chesty and scared to death at the same time in a way that only Packers fans can be.
They are in such unfamiliar territory compared to where they've been historically. Like
they're in a weird spot because they are one of the variable teams. Like, they could go 14-3, they could go 7-10, and neither of them would surprise me. And I don't think it would surprise anybody who covers the team either. Like, there's a wide range of outcomes for them. Like the Lions, I think their floor is 10-7 and being a wild card. Like, I can't fathom them being worse than that. I just can't.
I mean, we went through the schedule last time and came up with some pretty wild. I mean, when I look back and look at the I mean, I'm like, but this is totally. I mean, the realistic. That's you're right. The floor is a wild card shot. The line, it's going to be great. It's going to be a great year. So let's get on to the next thing. We'll move on to our next topic. We got another one. It's an interesting one. The contract friction with Ragnow and the Lions and Anzalone and the Lions. And kind of want to start with a little something here because Aaron Pfeiffer, thank you for the super chat, my man. And his question, who's the Bears RB1? Yeah, not worried.
I will say it's probably not going to be DeAndre Swift.
Yeah. I want to talk. So as we go into this and talk about this, just a lot of folks. I know that the Slack is known since the draft. I've been jaunting around about Ragnow. Last show we opened it and I asked, where is he? And now Burkett's broken the story, and Riz kind of broke it, and Burkett got all the the follow on press, I guess, for his article. But
there's bigger fish.
There's sometimes we're coy about things, and people get frustrated, and sometimes and I want to explain it. We can't always say everything we know. I'll talk about one right now. There was a guy, and I'm not going to say his name, but you'll probably figure it out. We nabbed him thanks to a substance abuse suspension, and we were able to get a guy who was much loved but in the organization for a long time. And we had pictures of him the year we had him, and he was still in the program and in trouble and all that, sitting at a bar, having a beer, hanging out, and the clicks aren't worth it. You know what I mean? I mean, just to get right to the point, you've got a guy whose career would have been just wrecked because he was in the program. They would
absolutely done.
Yeah. Yep. The team would have been hurt by it. Right. And it was like the whole thing was BS anyway. I mean, if he had multiple DUIs or something, that's different, right? That's actually like potentially doing a public good. This is a guy that had nothing of the sort. He was not a menace to society. He was not a danger to anybody. It was not. No. it would not have been the right thing to do for him, the team, or anybody to release that. So there's things like that where you just being quiet is the better part of valor on that one. And there's a couple other things. So like we don't always say what we know. Sometimes we're coy. Sometimes it gives us an opportunity. Things we can't talk about gives us an opportunity to talk about things with authority. And then sometimes we're speculating. We tell you when we're speculating, right? I mean, that's the thing. You just have to listen to what we say and how we say it. And that's a lot of what's going on there. But so the contract thing with Rags right now, he's not there. He's not at practice. I talked about not having minicamp. He doesn't have a contract right now. I think his situation he does. Sorry.
He's under contract.
Hold on. I'll get to that. I think the Anzalone situation, we'll talk about that too, is less up in the air than Frank. And you got to think about it. And I'm just going to give just some thinking on this, right? You got a guy here who's hurt. Right, he's got a lot of injuries and a lot of pain. They talked about, people are talking about amputating his toe at some point. You know what I mean? This whole thing. He's sitting here looking. And especially if you think about his lifestyle and where he came from, he's got generational wealth. He's fine. He right now today he could walk away from the game and never be wanting for money again. But one of the things that does matter to him is, will he be able to go out hunting at 60? Will his knees let him? Will his back let him? Will his toes let him? Right? What's going to happen at that? And it's the later in life. And there's a price. All of these players are putting a price on the later years of their life by by playing more and more and more. And it's a real weird thing for people to get their head out. It takes your whole world to get in there and to be able to play in the NFL and to be one of the best in the world at doing this. And then you have this finite period of time that you can do it. Guaranteed money's out. He has a contract, but what does it mean for him? And what does it mean? And I don't know. I think he's going to be back. I think he's going to be playing, but one of the things I think about, and I'm not saying this is true here. Okay. So this is just pure speculation. One of the things I think about, if you remember Riz, Ihedebo, when he tried to hold the Lions hostage for some money there and they didn't pay it. And everyone was like, oh no, we let him go. And he was never the same. He was coming back, I believe, from an injury, if I remember right. And he knew something that nobody else did. That just sits in the back of my mind. I'm not saying that's what's going on. Again, pure speculation, right? This is not real. This is a potential scenario, maybe. That he knows something's not right, and he wants to get that little bit of guaranteed money before it's over and before he walks away as well. It could be where his heart is and how much, how much heart he has left for the game, how much he's looking at the end of his life, and the quality of life at that point, and then how much he's looking at what he's getting paid. Is it worth that for the trade, especially in the current market? There's probably some thinking going on there. I wouldn't question his heart, and I guess I probably said that wrong, but his love of the game anymore, right? Because the one thing that is, if he commits and he comes in, you're getting 110% of his heart. Right, you're getting the guy who played with a broken throat. Even if he comes in with this contract and he's unhappy that he didn't get more money, you're still going to get the 110% full, Frank Ragnow. You're still going to get that guy. So you're getting all of him when he's back. It's just he's got to think about when, there's a lot to doing that all, which is why I kind of alluded to minicamp, not having to answer some of those questions that allows these conversations to go on and happen. So hopefully things go well and it works out for us. Yeah. Hopefully things go well, it works out, and everybody winds up in a happy place. I'm not saying that it can't happen, but I can understand where everybody is. I mean, the Lions, there's an article, Riz, that I wanted to touch on that actually, and maybe we'll go into depth on it. The Cap article from your buddy, my
guy Ben Solak from ESPN.
Yeah, about the Lions' problems with the cap next year. Right. And what they're facing, even as nice as things look right now.
Balloon.
Yeah. As nice as things look right now, next year's going to be a little bit more. There's really not money, right? Even though it looks like it today, because of next year, there's not money and it's got to be managed. So it's going to be tough. And I hope they work it out. I really, really do. There's no closure on this. There's no big news. It's just been an ongoing conversation, right? That's been happening for a long time between these guys, and nobody's committed to anything yet. So more to come.
All right, so let's take a look at what his contract is this year. He is still the number 4 center in the league in terms of per year salary. He was first, number 1 when he signed it. In fact, was the highest paid center in NFL history for about a year. He is due $9.15 million in base salary. None of that's guaranteed. And none of his 2026 salary of $11.9 million is guaranteed. There are roster bonuses and workout bonuses, which, by the way, he won't get because he's not working out. But guaranteed money matters. If they cut him today, he doesn't get anything for this year other than what his prorated signing bonus is. Gets nothing for next year. That's insecurity. Players don't want insecurity. Their agents don't want insecurity. And this is probably more true with Anzalone, who I'm sure we're going to get to in a second. The lack of guaranteed money is a big deal because that again, like, that's your job security. Guaranteed money. If they cut him today, like, they actually save money.
You get hurt.
You get hurt. Yeah, that's got to be something that Ragnow has to think about. So you understand why at his age he's going, and with his injury history, he would want to maximize the guaranteed money. And one of the things that is happening in the NFL, although the recent bump in the salary cap sort of obliterated the school of thought, but this is something that Pat Kerwin has talked a lot about on Sirius XM NFL Radio. Todd Dimitroff on Sumer Sports has talked about a lot. Players are taking less years and less overall money to get more guaranteed money on a shorter term deal. Like, that's the trend now. By the way, the agents hate that because the agents don't get it. They get paid the same amount of percentage, whether it's guaranteed or not. Like, if you can put, like, the old Matthew Stafford contract, like $110 million for 6 years, fluff that bad boy up. If it's only, $80 million, but it's $80 million guaranteed, the agent doesn't get. He gets the percent of 80, not 110. So
football players have this one trick to make money, and agents hate it. So you'll be surprised by number 3. Sorry, yes. There's your clickbait headline.
Exactly right. I can go work for Detroit Lions Recap now. Wait, fuck that site, man. Unsubscribe to that bullshit. Tired of them ripping my crap off, changing 2 words with AI and calling it their own. Get rid of that crap. It annoys the hell out of me.
Oh, man.
End rant.
Axios had an article about it. AI that should terrify everybody. But no, anyway.
Yeah.
Let's look on. Let's get to Anzalone. So Ragnow, no closure. Best case scenario, they get to a place where everybody's happy. Yeah. They get to a place where everybody's happy. We see him in July when things start, and he's got some extra time to rest. And it's a non-story. We all forget about it because we're figuring out who our camp darling is. That's where that's the best case, and I'm hoping that's where we wind up. But it has been an ongoing conversation that's just now being surfaced. I mean, the Lions made draft decisions based on the ongoing conversation. So just pin that one up. One up.
I would say that also that some of the draft decision was made because they don't trust Graham Glasgow either. But you're not wrong there.
Okay, Mr. Anzalone, Captain Anzalone. So Mr. Favorite Gator.
So right over top, right?
Yeah, right on top.
I'm learning.
You got to win the Natty Champs, my friend. Did we get to talk about the Natty Champs? Did we talk about the national championship Florida Gator basketball team?
They look good. They did good. Yes, my cousin. I have 3 cousins who all they're brothers. They all are UF graduates, and they all let me know all the time how great Florida is.
Senior year this year. I'm so happy for my boy. Like, to be able to be at a school that gets a national championship in a major sport like that.
That's cool.
It was a wild time that night. It was wild. I was so jealous. God, I was jealous, but I'm happy for him. Anyway, okay, let's talk about Anzalone. Tell me what you got there, Rizzy.
So he is on this is his last year of his contract. Not one dime is guaranteed for him, not even like option bonuses or anything. So that's not a tenable position for him. especially when Grant Stewart comes in, especially when Zach Cunningham comes in the door. It's very easy to read into, and this is what I'm doing here. I'm not saying that the Lions did this, but this is my interpretation of it. Could be a message to Anzalone, like, we're ready to move on without you, buddy. Like, we love you. You're a defensive captain. We're clearly better with you than without you. It was made very evident last year. In the games that he was out was the worst defensive performances of the year.
Yep.
Again, he wasn't the only guy out, but the linebacker play that they tried to do, whether it was Jamal Adams or Ezekiel Turner, like, please never do that again. Please
God,
don't.
why do you do that to me, Riz? Oh, some things are just left in the past. Best.
I know, but the scars remind us that the past is real.
Okay.
Oh, it's real.
Okay. All right, fine. Okay, so Anzalone, Green Dot.
Money. Fuck your obsession. That's a great song for me, just to insects. Love that song. I don't like that band, but I love that song.
Interesting. Okay.
So he wants, and would Alex Anzalone be willing to sign a 1-year extension with a heavily guaranteed but lower overall figure, and have that extra year be a void year? Sounds like it would work for both sides to me. Again, that's my interpretation of what's going on. It wouldn't surprise me if that happens, but again, they don't want to keep committing money to 2026 and 2027 because they've got more to do.
Yeah. They've got the balloon. They're facing the big,
it's a big balloon.
Yep.
It's a big balloon.
Yep.
Again, some of that can get mitigated. You can redo Goff. You can lower Hutchinson's number by giving him a big extension, believe it or not. Like, that's how those things work.
Yep.
Jamel's going to get an extension that will lower his figure, probably. Like, those things are at play. Brian Branch is going to – the ones that are going to hurt are Branch and Kirby. Well, Kirby's done now, but the non-first rounders who get those second and third contracts, that's where your inflation really hits. Yeah. And they have some of those guys. They've already done a couple of them.
That's the problem with drafting well.
Kirby. It is. The Eagles just traded away a perfectly good defensive end in Bryce Huff because they have no use for him because they can't afford to pay him as their depth.
Yep.
He's a good football player. Like, he'd be good in Detroit, but he's in San Francisco now. They give him away for pennies because they can't afford to keep paying everybody all the time. The Lions are to that point next year. Hard decisions will have to be made. Alex Anzalone at his age, if they can find a younger player who can do 90% of what he can do for 60% of the cost, sorry, dude, you're gone. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a cold reality of football. He knows that, by the way. He's not dumb. He knows his value. He knows he is as integrated into the defense and important to the defense as any other player on that defense. I absolutely believe that.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that he's irreplaceable.
That's right. That's the push pull, right? That's that friction because it's both sides get hot with friction, right? So we'll see what happens.
I don't fault him for trying to max at his age with his injury history to get every fucking dime you can while you can. Do it. Yep. Don't fault him at all for that.
Yep.
Whether it's in Detroit or if it has to be somewhere else, which would suck because there would be a market for him. I really hope he's in Detroit because we're better with him.
Yeah.
Definitely better with him than without him. He's a great player. And I love that the fans have come around on him because when he first got here, the first couple of years when he wasn't as great as he could have been, fans were hard on that dude. And now he's a fan favorite. And I love that for him because he deserves that. He's a great guy and he's a damn good football player. He's also a really good, dude off the field. He's one of those, if he's out to dinner with his family and you go up and you're sheepishly asking for an autograph, he's going to sign. He's going to talk to you for a minute. But then be respectful for him. But not everybody does that. He's one that would.
Yeah.
secondhand personal experience on that.
All right, let's get to the last topic we've got here. Dan Campbell's press conference highlights. Riz, I'm going to let you just take it and run with it for us because everybody loves your adult.
And I kind of hinted on this earlier, but he made it very clear. And I want to read the quote. Let me pull it up here.
These nuts.
What was that one?
I wish. That's a good one.
He had another
I
one.
will beat your ass.
Yes. He talked about Hutch a lot. But one of the things that he talked about was, where's it at? On evaluating the defense while accounting for injuries. And this is, and I cannot do justice to how enthused Dan Campbell was. He's like, man, I love the guys in that room, talking about the defense. They play freaking hard. And look, there's not a damn thing we can do about injuries. Nobody can. I mean, offensively, this could be the year. Who knows? We've got to be ready to go offensively if that happens. And so defensively, man, we got plenty in there. Focus on that. I mean, we got cover guys. We got guys that can pressure the quarterback. We got linebackers that can cover and rush, attack the run. We got safeties that are ball hawks and can play in the box. We got safeties that can go man-to-man on receivers and the slaughter outside. I mean, we got some weapons, so I feel great about it. Does that sound like a coach who's looking for outside help?
Yes. I mean, no. I mean, I don't know. Sorry, I'm just wrecking.
And again,
wrecking your flow.
When has Dan Campbell lied to us? When has he been deceitful or dishonest to us about those sorts of things? That sounds to me like a guy who's ready to go to battle with what he's got. And I know that there are fans out there that are clamoring for Zadarius Smith, clamoring for whoever. Do I want better safety depth, proven depth? Yes, I do. Dan Campbell doesn't. He doesn't care. Like they're good with what they got.
Yep.
And if you're not good with what they got as a fan, I would preach to you to learn the concept of radical acceptance because it will help you in this situation.
Radical acceptance.
Yes. It's a therapy thing.
Unconditional positive regard, my friend.
Okay. I like that too.
That's what I have for you.
Thank you.
Of course.
I need that. I need the reassurance. Sometimes.
You know I believe in you, Riz.
That's great.
I'd give you a hug right now if I could.
I need that sometimes. It's actually I gotta say, I wanna give a quick thank you to the fans. Specifically of this podcast, but just in general. Y'all have been very nice to me lately and very letting me know that you think I'm doing well, and I appreciate that because it's
all right, everyone. You've got the summer to load your guns back up.
I know. Dealing with negative feedback and negative reaction is part of this job. We know that going in. If you can't handle that, don't do this job. But it's still nice to hear that people care and think that you're doing well, and I appreciate that very much. And that's been much more the case this offseason than it has been in the past. And I've noticed, and thank you for that. It does not go unnoticed or unappreciated.
There you go. All right, Riz. An emotional moment to end the show today.
Yes.
Heartfelt. Risdon from
Chris, as I've told you, I would not keep doing this if it wasn't fun. I have turned down opportunities outside of football that are more lucrative than what I do now.
Yeah.
Because this is still fun for me. When it ceases being fun, you will not see me again. You will not read me again.
Riz has a plan on how to disappear. Just so you know, he will be just poof one day, and then you'll know it's probably your fault.
You might find me. I might be getting the carts at Meyer if I find that fun. I might. I don't know. Gotta have diverse interests.
If you can take one home and drag it behind the car and ride it like a go-kart, like the old days.
You would probably be more apt to find me at a weather station or on a beach somewhere.
Arctic Circle somewhere.
Maybe. Yeah. No, I'm not going where it's cold.
Yeah, no. Nope. There's your beach, Riz. There's a polar bear
It's funny.
sunning himself.
to go into a little bit, my wife and I are already talking about retirement. She retires in 8 years on her 60th birthday. Like, I just gave my wife's speech. That's not going to go well. Oops. Sorry, honey. And like, she brought up, she recently traveled for business to a place. And I'm like, do you want to retire? She's like, hell no, it's cold. I'm like, thank you. We are people of the beach. We will be doing that.
Yeah.
I, by the way, will never retire because Chris, you know this about me. If I'm not working, I get grossly uncomfortable. Yeah. I don't chill well. I don't do nothing well at all. Like, I've got to be doing something.
Yep.
Otherwise
I have to always be slightly exhausted, I've found. Otherwise,
yes.
I go insane. It's really nuts.
Yes. I like, even when I'm on vacation, the laptop's with me. Like, I can't not do it. I can't.
Yep.
I would go crazy. I did take 2 days off when I went to Mexico for spring break last year, not this year, but the year before. And my kids begged me to work. Like, Dad, you're driving us fucking crazy. Please work.
It was like, dangerous in Hawaii because I very much fell into the, like, my work. Like, they said, do not email Chris. Leave him alone. He will check his emails until there's nothing going on, and he'll finally give up. And it was right. I finally gave up, and I was like, I fell into it, and I was like, this isn't. I mean, I had a hard time turning back on when I got back, though. That's the thing. If they break that, it's on them. Like, because I don't know how I'll get back. Right? I don't know. Anyway, all right. That's a good place to call it a show, man. It's fun. Good to see you again, Riz. Good to see all you folks again. Love doing this. I've talked about it. We've got some really good content for you over the summer while the Lions are resting. We will not be. I have a great series coming up on drafts and draft strategies and why teams are doing what they do. A little bit of thing with some personas of GMs and stuff. And I'll start recording that. I've got a piece of equipment that I want to set up that's going to help a great deal.
Your second team offensive line right there.
There you go. Piece that's coming that's going to help get that going, so we'll expect that to come in the next probably the first one will hit by Father's Day, to be honest, and then we'll roll through the break with about a 5-episode series on that. I think you guys will really like it. So we've got that. We'll rock on that, and then we will do all the things that we do when we close the show. Remember, don't forget us.
A practice recap for you video after whatever date practice, either Thursday or Friday, I think, this week.
You would do next Saturday again?
It's not Friday. We might be. No, I cannot. My weekends are shot for the coming time. By the way, if you're going to be at the Coheed and Cambria concert next Friday night at Van Andel, come say hi. I will be there with my daughter. We will be one among the fence.
All right, maybe Friday, maybe Thursday or Friday.
Whatever day practices, and I don't know what.
It's 3 to 5, 3rd to the 5th.
We'll get with that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll do it again next week. We'll have another one, and we'll do a live show to do a wrap-up of the last of the practices before training camp. Yeah. Don't forget us on Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. $5 a month and donations there gets you access to the Slack, the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet, and where we were talking about the news before the news was even in the news, a month and a half before.
Sure.
Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Jeff Risdon, at DET Lions Podcast. All the announcements about the show, when we're going live, what we're doing, come on, DET Lions Podcast, so be sure to follow that. Also, go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com, subscribe to the podcast, because when you do, Riz, it's magic, Riz. Tell them all about it.
I get to come into your ear holes automagically.
And look at that face. Who wouldn't want that? Thank you.
My wife, for one. Love you,
honey. We may see Riz next week. We may be in a cast, but thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
This weekend with my daughter. We're all good.
We'll see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast. Remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, no problems, and no broken bones, please, Riz. Remember, we're your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection. Love you all. Thank you. See you next week.